Sorry, I'm microphone adverse. It just doesn't work out. I don't know what to do with my hands. It all goes poorly. So I'm just going to shout at you for a bit. My name is James with Cowboy Cricket Farms. Like Trevor said, we farm crickets for food. And if you haven't had a chance to have the cookies yet, they're out there. And if you did have the cookies and you didn't read the sign, you're welcome. Now you know what you ate. So that's a little lesson in literacy, right? So let me tell you about what we've done this year. First off, we've gone into a dozen retailers. In fact, I need to update that because this morning we got our first out-of-state retailer in Moab, Utah. They actually received and stocked everything on the shelves. So we're pretty excited about that. Right now we're holding on to well over $500,000 of letters of intent. Basically, these are customers that are waiting for us to get our production and technology lined up to their needs. Some of these companies want excess of 3,000 pounds of cricket a month. I do not produce 3,000 pounds of cricket a month right now, so we're working on the innovation side. In the last year, we've received over $100,000 in grants and awards, including the John Raffaello competition, several federal, state, local, and university grants, not just grants for business development, but for research as well. We're doing some pretty amazing stuff right now, trying to augment the fish oil market, increasing omega-3 fatty acids naturally within insects, and changing basically how our food ecosystem works. On top of that, we've had a lot of press. Some people like the novelty. Some people see the actual value, and eventually that'll change to where more and more people see the value. And that's why we've had so many speaking gigs all over the place. Everything from banking conferences to ag tech to just preschoolers, which are honestly more fun than the bankers. So what we've been making right now, and what people know us for, if you've gone to the West Main Co-op or Spires Climbing Center, you might know we have our chocolate chip cookies. Just like what's out there. It's 10 grams of protein, single cookie. We have our powder, and we're working on also bringing on a flour mix. We also sell cricket frass. Don't eat the frass. I cannot stress this enough. We have people ask that on almost every tour. What ingredients do you use in the frass? We don't. It's cricket poop. Don't eat the frass. But it's great for your plants. Specifically certain kinds of indoor gardens that you see around here. We have a lot of tomato farmers and medicinal farmers and many different things that are using cricket frass. It's a fantastic, and in fact, it is the driving force monetarily behind the whole company. The money's in the poop, folks, okay? But that's not the interesting side. That's not the sexy side, if crickets can be sexy. Basically, here's our process. So our farm's out in Belgrade, and we are very much open to the public. So please, if any of you would ever like to, go on our website, click on the tour tab. You can book a tour there and see the whole process. It takes about an hour, but I'm going to bring you through it in about 10 seconds. It starts as an egg. 11 days later, they hatch into what we call pinhead. We call them that because they just look like tiny little dots on a piece of paper. They're just minute. They weigh so little, we have to get hundreds of them to measure them on our very precise scale. They weigh almost nothing. 8 weeks later, they become adults. At that point, they can lay eggs for themselves, bringing us back here, and they also exit, if you want to call it that, into the harvest stage. Now, we harvest them in a very natural way. We actually freeze them, and this is part of their natural life cycle. Everything that we do, we try to basically put them on the best vacation that a cricket could ever be on. The whole time, they're just in the best environment, even at the end. Because usually what happens is they would, as fall comes and it cools down, they would go into this stasis. They literally fall asleep. Springtime comes around, the younger, stronger ones wake up and keep living on their little cricket lives. What we do is we put them into the freezer. After about 10 minutes, they're in that stasis. And after about 20 minutes, they're not coming back out of it. From there, we can dehydrate them, mill them down, package, and ship it to our food manufacturers that we actually sell to. Because at the base of it, we're an ingredient company. The problem is twofold. One, human error. Everyone here's made mistakes. I know I do. And we make mistakes all the time at the farm. The problem is that when we make one small mistake, like forgetting a sponge for their water, 3 days later, we've made a big mistake of killing off 10,000 crickets with one forgotten sponge. It's a very easy mistake to make. Additionally, labor expenses. Bozeman's kind of an expensive town as far as Montana to work in, and as we move this to other areas, other urban areas, they become very expensive as well. Rent is high, utilities are high, but nothing costs more than human labor. With that said, we can create a lot of jobs if we do this correctly, and we can remove our human error factor, and we can change our ecosystem. And that's why tonight, we're very proud to announce this. This is our automated bin system. This will go out to actual farmers. We have about 200 of them lined up right now around the country. This will go out to actual farmers next April. So we're a little over a year away from it actually being available. We're going into our alpha phase testing in just a few months. We're going to beta test with a select group of our farmers from many different disciplines. And then we're going to actually roll it out into a true commercial setting. And this is something our competitors haven't been able to do yet. But before we get to that, let me just tell you why this is important. You and I'm a little bit kind of cold right now. I see a lot of you in sweaters, right? We like to be comfortable. But we have a fairly wide range where we can be comfortable and we can put on coats. And wouldn't you know it, I don't make coats for the crickets, so we need to keep it really warm, okay? We keep it about 85 to 90 degrees in there, 40 to 70% humidity, depending on the time of where in their life cycle they are. And all of this needs to be very precisely controlled to make sure we can get the most out of them as far as growth cycle, as well as nutrition, right? I'm sorry, our education supplies are just very low at the farm. We're really just more about, the linebackers at this point, okay? So we need to make sure that their feed is controlled, that their water is controlled, that their environment is controlled, and again, that we don't forget that sponge. That's what this does. This controls all of that. It takes the human error out. It makes it scalable, and it means that you don't have to be like us. We stack these things high, and that's good. We want people to stack them high. That means less footprint. We handle all of this right now on actual pieces of paper, and that should not be done because we need to manage this by the minute, not by the week. This is all your humidity and air control, all the things that tell you if something's about to go wrong. And this is why we do it. Now, anyone here familiar with In-N-Out? Oh, come on. There's a lot of people from California here, let's be honest. Right? I love In-N-Out. In fact, I don't have my wallet on me. I have 2 In-N-Out gift cards in there right now. Now, you can call me the evil guy from California all you want, but I love those hamburgers. At the end of the day, though, beef is not sustainable. Crickets are. And it's for more than you might think. Yes, they're small, but we also need less room to grow the same amount of protein. In fact, it's about 1% compared to beef. They use 2,060 times less water, 14 times less feed, produce 80 times less methane. We can change the way that our food is made, the amount of people that are available to eat, and seeing as by the year 2050, there's going to be more than 10 billion people on the planet, this is a very important thing. It may not be sexy, but neither is dying of starvation. So we need to make sure that we make a change. There's one other big thing. A lot of people, especially in the US, may not be familiar with the importance of iron. Believe it or not, we actually have a large incidence of anemia, which is nutritional iron deficiency in the US. And according to the World Health Organization, it is the leading cause of health issues in the world. It's anemia. It's not influenza. It's not a virus or bacteria. It's not lions. It's iron. It's nutrients. It's just your food. We can change this easily. And we can take our powder and adapt it into any other food source, like the cookies, which I hope all of you read the sign. But if you didn't, congratulations. You probably got 5 to 10% of your iron for the day from just a couple little pieces of cookie. That's pretty substantial. So it has to make economic sense, right? We can say all the great things about the environment that we want, but after we shave our head, we have to make sure, right? Sorry, that's a military reference. They sit you in this barber chair, right? A lot of people come in, they've got this long hair, and they're just all kind of like hanging out. As soon as they shave your head, you change, okay? They cut all your hair off, and you're no longer happy, and you just stand up straight, and all you can think about are numbers. Usually it's push-ups. In our case, we're going to talk about dollars, okay? So it costs us about $145 to produce this bin. We're going to sell it at $250. Okay, so we're making a little bit of margin, not huge. The real money comes down here. We can buy crickets for $3 a pound from our producers. That means they break even in 11 and a half months, which means that in less than a year, they have a sustainable revenue model. They're making money, we're making money, everyone's eating. And that's why we're better than our competitors. Aspire Food Group, they have a brand name called Aketa. They have these giant robots that go up and down aisles. They physically replace a human being. And that's great until they go through a doorway and lose an arm. And then their $600,000 robot is broken, right? $250 bin, $600,000 robot. Bitwater Farms, they are making basically these large enclosures. Think about this room if you were to control the humidity. Now, that's great until the room has an error. If we have one bin with an error, we lose one bin, not at one farm. Over there, that's Thailand Unique. They're still doing stuff the old school way in Thailand. It works well, but they have zero food regulations as far as our FDA standards go. They are allowed to import, but that's only because we have an unregulated industry right now, which we're looking to change. Entimo Farms, they're in Canada. They make a great product, and they also are doing things the old school way, which means it's going to be hard for them to scale. And finally, Tiny Farms. Now, they've been invested by some very interesting people with the last name Zuckerberg, and they are making something similar to what we are. The problem is they've been making it for a while, so maybe they're about to launch tomorrow the best product in the world. I don't know. But we're announcing it today, so I beat them. So again, why we're better. We're more affordable. We have a modular system. And we're definitely early to market, at least by a day, right? No one's announcing this at 8 o'clock tonight. That's a horrible time for a press release. So we win. And the modular system, though, cannot be just overset. It's not just modular within the farm, it's modular within the whole network. Because we farm crickets like the rest of the agricultural industry farms everything else. We don't do it in one place. We do it in 1,000 places. That means that we are creating 1,000 jobs. And we're creating a large network of people that want to talk about this to their friends and family and change how people eat. And from a biological standpoint, if one farm gets an infection or anything happens there, anything at all, that farm goes down and we help them come back up. But we have another 999 farms that are still operating, which means our food ecosystem is really not affected. We're able to do this through 2 layers of team. First, we have our base team. My wife, Kathy, actually came up with this whole crazy idea. I thought it was horrible, really. But she's changed my mind because she's usually right. And the fact is that we have issues in our food system. And so she's the visionary behind all this. I just kind of come up here and talk because I like talking. Emma is our researcher. She's the one actually on the ground doing all of this for us. Every week she comes in, makes sure that the data gets down so we actually understand what's going on, which is another big thing missing in the industry. Dr. Florence Dunkel is a world-renowned entomologist. We are blessed to have her here at MSU, and she is our advising factor for the actual bugs. And then Dr. Edward Dratz is working with us for the chemistry side of things, specifically lipid profile, so our omega-3 fatty acid content. But we have a secondary layer of teams. Montana State University, specifically Blackstone Launchpad, has been fantastic for us. Without Blackstone Launchpad, we don't have a company, period. We wouldn't exist. On top of that, they've given us huge resources with research and unlike some universities, we're able to work with them and actually retain our IP in just about every way, including the software factory, who's developing the back end side of how these bins operate. And the state of Montana itself. We thought we were going to have a huge amount of pushback, and instead, they've embraced us. They recognize that innovative agriculture is how we're going to create jobs in this state and others, and that we can bring a lot of money into Montana, we can bring a lot of importance to Montana, and we can truly make a change on the world in Montana with this kind of technology. And so they've actually awarded us several grants, and we work very closely with them. So, in closing, right? Everyone here, say it with me. Save a cow, eat a cowboy cricket, right? Not just a cricket. I want to brand this. Don't go to Aspire. Eat a cowboy cricket with me. Thank you very much. And seeing as I'm the last presentation, I think after Trevor says something, you're probably free to go and have a great night. Thank you.